October the 30th, 2024. Guys, we are almost into November. It's just a week away from Election Day. We're going to have more on that before the end of the video, but first, let me point something out here. A few days ago, I did a video. We were looking at the system down into the Caribbean, which it's getting comical almost. It's still a 40% chance of development in the same location for over a week. We've seen that with the last two hurricanes, and it reminds me of this. The old Frankenstein movie, where they keep firing more voltage from the lightning hitting into their big capacitors, into the beast, into Frankenstein to get it going. Well, it's still setting off in the same area a week later, no development, but they're going to keep hitting it until they get something here into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, one thing that's happening is you got to remember our Father in heaven has the ultimate control. And I very seriously think that the Florida and the hurricanes we saw in the southeast may have had a little political bias in them. Let's just say that. But I think he's going to have the last word, because at one time we were looking at a pretty bad storm coming up, by the 5th or the 6th, right around that time. But there's still no 2-day outlook. There's a 40% chance still of a 7-day outlook, just like the other two that were, again, politically motivated. And they are waiting, and they keep hitting the same area that they figure out, finally, maybe we can do something about this backwards wind shear and get something going in there in time to take maybe Florida or Alabama or Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas out of the crippler vote in some ways. They're doing everything they can right now. But a couple of days ago, while we were looking at the Caribbean, I said there's a system forming off California that's going to be pushing across the central part of the nation. And that's what we're seeing now. In the yellow, you have tornado watches. In the orange, you have severe thunderstorm warnings. And usually, if there's going to be a funnel cloud involved, it will be in that area. Then behind it, what do you see? Red flag warnings. What does that mean? High wind. Then right on the very edge of the tornadoes, look at this, freeze warnings. You're looking at frost advisories. Up in this area, you're looking at severe thunderstorm watches. So this is that clash of cold and hot air that I was mentioning in that video. Now in the northwest, guys, you're getting winter weather out there. You're getting everywhere from winter storm warnings in higher elevations, guys, to storm warnings. Look at this. Anyway, winter weather advisories also involved in that, but right here, this is the clash of the titans. It's kind of like we're getting in out of the fall into the first edges of old man winter. All of this tan coloring and brown coloring is wind watches and warnings. And then to get into the Great Lakes, guys, this is gale warnings, things like that. Because you're over open water, not much happening. You got wind warnings and gale warnings off the northeast coast and all along the Gulf of Mexico, including both sides of Florida. Now, we're going to click on this area right here, and it is 3:31 p.m. Central Time, and look directly at their radar. And guys, this is the radar. Here's Oklahoma City right in the center of the screen, and this line of storms is moving as they usually do to the northeast this time of the year and in the spring. You got to pay very close attention to this. Why? Because the very cold air, it's not just a cooler air system, you're going from hot conditions with these storms to suddenly freeze warnings. You better believe that's a very extreme line of change, and it's going to cause some problems. And above there, guys, this is Des Moines, Iowa here. You got Marshallton here, Atlantic here, Storm Lake. This area could become very active very quickly. And you know where you're at. This is Mason City right there. I'm trying to look through here. This is Kirksville, Treppen. But right along this area, right there, just south and southwest of Des Moines, this is all building up. North of there, it's not too shabby, but right here seems to be some bowing and some concentration. Now let's look at the national satellite imaging. Guys, right here, look at the burst of these thunderstorms. This is all in the hurricane watch, severe thunderstorm watch and warning areas here. Right behind it, look at that. You can tell it's very, very cold air. We've got a system right here that's part of a low pressure system. It has an opening that's about midway of the Atlantic, and that's pushing a lot of energy to the west. And so we've got what is happening could be setting up for a superstorm overnight, and in central Mississippi they're saying tomorrow evening and all. We'll just have to wait and see if it takes that long, but could be setting up for a very strong system because of what we're seeing looping out of the northeast back into the Atlantic and pushing this warmer, drier air with full intensity into this cold front. Same thing is happening in the Gulf. And you're seeing here in the very northern sections of the Caribbean, in the southeastern sections of Bermuda, some cloud cover. We'll take a look at that. But right now, all you guys in this section pay very close attention. You've got some higher clouds also moving in through the Northern California, Oregon, and Washington, going up into Vancouver area. Check that out. It may not be as severe because it's cooler in this area, but right here, guys, this could be very deadly over the next several hours. So make sure you're tuning in. You have your weather radios on, you have your batteries charged, all of the above. Again, this could be severe. Let's take a look at the infrared from early this morning to this afternoon. You can see the development here. There's not much coming in through Oklahoma, going up into Nebraska. And now it's starting to build up. You had the heat of the day, and now you got the conflict of this system and the system that's been moving across the central U.S. You see there's moisture building in the Gulf, too, that could add to this, guys. For all of you here in my area, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, that this moisture could definitely create some very heavy rain when it's being squeezed out from this cold front. So watch for that. Watch for some high winds. This is really energy being pushed out of the Caribbean that they've been sitting there betting on for a week or so. Sometimes God just says, put down heart. I've got this. Don't worry about it. We're going to get through this election. Guys, not to change the subject drastically, but it needs to be. So let's change it just a moment. Not to take away from the danger of the storms tonight. But I would, like I said, I wouldn't bet on a lot of things currently. But here is something you need to pay attention to. This site is called electionbettingodds.com. And really what it is a collection of different other markets that bet on politics and other things like that. If you think about it, you can hear the rhetoric from mainstream. It's a tight race. It's all this and all that. And I've been watching this for about a week now, but I was hesitant to bring it up because I didn't want people to become relaxed and think that the Republicans had this at the last minute and then get overwhelmed. But guys, there's so much cheating going on right now, and the focus of it, main focus, is Pennsylvania. It's a swing state. They're closing polls early. Everything they can do, they're shutting the lines down. Today there was reports that they had long lines, people outside in Pennsylvania, 2-hour waiting lines. Suddenly these vans pulled up with illegal immigrants, and they stopped the line going in for the legal voters and let them come in with their paperwork all ready and everything, with shirts talking about this company that did this. You know, of course, these NGOs are not really NGOs at all. They are definitely government organizations, just on the down low. Anyway, they let them go in ahead of the people, the citizens, and vote. Made them wait 4 or 5 times. Different vans or buses come in. And then at one point in Pennsylvania, this is all Pennsylvania. Now, you guys in Pennsylvania, we got a lot of friends up there. But every barrel has a rotten apple in it. All the states do. Pennsylvania, you're kind of overrun right now, but they also, after they let all of that happen, Around 2:30, they started shutting down the polls, the lines there, because they'd already let the illegals come in and do their voting thing, right? And then they were seeing such a surge of Trump voters coming in there, they shut it down illegally at 2:30. Now, there's lawsuits being set up already. But you know, guys, in every state, somebody needs to step up, call a congressman or a lawyer, maybe get a class action, because every state is involved in a national presidential election, right? Right. So we all have blood in the game. So when they cheat us, we all have that right. And I think that's one of the things that we need to do immediately after voting day is, regardless of what side you're on and who you think cheated or whatever, file or begin the filing of class action lawsuits from each state against the cheating states, because they are cheating, lying, and stealing an election. It's called election interference. Now, you're seeing the polls with MSNBC, CBS, ABC, all the other ones. There's a few that are semi-reliable, but when they're talking about a close race, then it's very wrong and very misleading, because just look at the rallies. It's like 1,000,000 to 1, okay? But right here, this electionbettingodds.com, it lists different sites. Basically, that's what it does. It gets together with Betfair, S-Markets, Predicted, Polymarket, Kalshi, how people bet. Now, you can come in here, and and I'm not saying bet. That's not why I'm here, okay? It's less than $1 a bet, and I think a lot of people are going to make a lot of money off of this. But if you want to get away from the corrupt pollsters, follow the money. And that's why I'm doing this right now. And the election betting odds, and by the way, electionbettingodds.com, it puts all the other ones together and uses those as an average, right? So right now, the chance of Trump becoming president, according to the money, always follow the money, is 61.6% compared to, I'm not sure what that is right there. Might be a snake. I'm not sure. Anyway, 37.9%. And guys, that's because the states are lying. This is more like 98 to 2. Look at the rallies. Now, over on this side, controlling the House in 2024, this could be very accurate. Republicans are ahead 54.5, roughly 10%, 45.5. And that's important, because you need control of at least one of the sections and the presidency. Now, you've got to have 270 electoral college votes to win. That's what we're talking about. So you come over here, one of the big ones, Texas. Look at that. Electoral college right under chance of right here. Watch it change. 40 electoral college votes. Florida, another big one, 30. But California, you 54. And that's from the libtard city. Sorry to say that. Not everybody there, but the libtard city government. Let me put it like that, and that's accurate. You come over into Louisiana, look at all the red states. Louisiana, you're kind of like Mississippi, you got 8. I think we only have 6 population, but it's red as hell, and I love that. Arkansas, 98% Republican, right on. Oklahoma, 99. Kansas, 97%. Now, someone wants to come through here and add up 270, you'll see that it looks like that the chance of the Republicans winning it is good. Pennsylvania is very concerning with all the cheating going on right now. Again, they shipped in people that none of them spoke English. Buses and vans full of them. Stop the line of the American voters in Pennsylvania. Wake up and put a stop to this. They stopped the lines of the voters. Let them walk in. They were all reading their paperwork and their instructions on how to vote. And then as they left, instead of letting the line go on to 5:30 in some places, they ended it at 2:30. And what happened, they realized that the good people of Pennsylvania, 61.9% of y'all had voted for Trump. So now, right now, they're calling in every disgusting thing they can find. What does it tell you? It says, well, they're lying and they're cheating. Who is the father of lies? It's Satan. and maybe there's a couple of people in a couple of states that were going to vote for Satan, and maybe they won't now. But you could come through here, and I'll put a link to it, and add up the electoral votes. Now, let's just look. Like I said, this is a combination of different markets. Let's look at Polymarket. It breaks it down a little bit further. Spread this out. And this is polymarket.com. Pull this up right there. Spread it out a little bit. Anyway, 2024 election forecast, 2024 presidential election, different markets, different balance of power during the Senate and how all of that, Congress. But the presidential election winner, let's just click on that for a moment and see what we got. And by the way, before I forget, North Carolina, it was announced yesterday evening, I think, or either early this morning, that the demon, what they call, Democrats pulled out $2 million worth of advertising for the next week in North Carolina. Two reasons that would happen. No, one is they know that they don't have a chance in winning, or other thing is that they know that it's going to be cheated, and they could, Kamala, or what's her name, Kamala, her and Hunter could go buy a bunch of crack with $2 million, right? But you got to get 10%. You know where that goes. Anyway, presidential election 2024 right now. Donald Trump 65.5. This is the money, and the whatever that is. I don't think it's human. 34.4%, 65.6, 34.3. Now, this is where the money's going, but we know how late night votes come in. Arenas are closed. They tape up the windows. A commode leaks, a bathroom leaks, air conditioner goes out, and then everything changes, right? We know that. But the money's here, and either the money is very unsophisticated in their reality of how the votes work, or there's enough money behind it to make sure it happens. You understand what I'm saying? There's others here also. Now, this is what's called the balance of power in 2024 election. That's very important. It's a three-way deal, unless that power of the pen comes in, of course, as in the current administration, they ignore all the laws. But it's saying balance of power would be 46% Republican and 21% Democrat, right there. You see that? And you're voting. I think you can vote in here at 46 cents and things like that. I'm not affiliated with it. I'm not getting involved with it. I got other things I need to spend my money on. But this is where their money's going, and Republican sweep is 46%. Look at that. Democrat Pres, Republican Senator, Democrat House, 21 cents. We'll see that this would be what would be called the cheat code, just like in a video game, right? Life ain't a cheat code, but it can be in the Democratic mentality. Anyway, I'm going to end it here, and I'll link to this site and the other ones. But sometimes you just got to trace the money, and you guys in the midsection of our country, you watch for those storms. And if I'll tell you what we're going to do. I almost forgot. Let's look at the National Hurricane Center and their attempt to continue to interfere with the elections via HAARP and the other instruments. Now, we got the same bunch of yahoos that's been on here for a couple of weeks saying, imminent storm, one's going to go in here, there, they got arrows pointed everywhere. You know the deal. I understand if you're in one lane, that's what you got to deal with. But guys, get real on it. This is the 2-day forecast. It's been the same way for several weeks. 7-day forecast. Let's click there. Look at what has changed. Nothing. 40% chance here for over a week. And it's, again, like Dr. Frankenstein, let's hit some more voltage, get this monster kick up, kick in the HAARP, kick in all the other available things, kick this thing in before the election. We got to shut down Florida, maybe Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Louisiana, and Texas. Just a bunch of them come in there and wipe them out. They're still kicking it. Let's look at the satellite images. Now, after watching those betting odds, I started to just draw a big red circle right here. They got the orange one in this section where it's been forever. and a big red one, and put 100% chance of development in the next 365 days. Okay? That's how stupid this thing's getting, how obvious it is. What are the last 3 or 4 storms set out here again? We've never seen it before. I've watched more hurricanes than most people in the weather division. Okay? And this has never continued to flare up, fade out, flare up, fade out, continue for a week, and then they finally get the system just right, get enough energy coming from Alaska and the boats and islands and whatever, and get something kicked up. But our Father in heaven is not letting it happen. This is a tremendous system I showed you, sweeping down and pushing warm air into the cold front, but it's also pulling everything through a low pressure opening. That's what you see, this stream of clouds right there. Everything's being pushed into there, and that's because I think our earth is tilting and changing slightly. But our Father in heaven is in control, and they're still hoping and praying. Look at this. Every morning, you see a little bit of showers build up in the afternoon. Next morning, it's wisp of air rising up and blowing back into the Atlantic. Come on, guys. Have some credibility. We finally got the Navy model back in. They're showing some activity by the 6th or 7th, and so is the Canadian model. They wanted it way before that point. But right now it's getting into clown world here. You guys, I don't know if they fired everybody like they did the big generals at the National Weather Service, the media, and all of that meteorology clinics, but whoever's running it now, you should be ashamed of yourself. I've been here doing this for a long, long time. And I would be embarrassed if I'd have told 165,000 people for the last week that something might develop here, knowing that you got HAARP set up. Guys, sorry about the rant on both subjects. Kind of sick of it, aren't you? But I'm not saying nothing's going to happen after about the 6th or the 7th. We're going to watch it so closely, but if I don't say anything, you know it's BS, right? But as soon as it gets dangerous, we're all over. I'm going to tell you exactly, as close as I can, where and when it's coming in, and using, I think Trump calls it common sense. Right now we have a vacuum of that being pulled out of the leaders of this nation, the people that control the mainstream media, and there's a reckoning coming. And all you lying devil, children of the devil, children of the Kidnites, son of Cain, there's a reckoning coming for you. And we'll be watching it. It's a heads up, be safe.